Hey, how's everybody doing today? So today I'm just going to be here to answer any questions that you guys might have. I see Chris, Muriel, and Vitaly are here. Yeah, do any of you have any questions that I can help out with? If so, feel free to drop them in the chat. I think Muriel raised her hand.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you? I had a question about using an account to source a drop-down list. So I found the documentation. I'm running version 8.9, if that makes a difference. I've found the documentation and I use the accounts, the internal service step to get the members of the account. But what I'm looking for the drop-down list to contain is the first and last name. The list itself, I can source it from the flow, I can source it from the accounts object, but I only have one choice for what field to bring over, and I don't see one that says full name. Am I missing it?
I do not think that you're missing it. I don't know that we have a full name. I guess it would be the conjunction of the first and last name. Let me do a quick check here on my end.
Okay.
We can look at this together. So yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll just share my screen so you guys can see what I'm doing here. What you might be able to do if you, I'm thinking if we used active form flow to populate this list, we could create a list of conjunction, but the problem then would be knowing which account it is, because then we would have to go back to our account list. So let's see.
Actually, I don't need the account list. In this particular case, I really just need the name. What I'm doing is it's 3 different levels of supports, let's say, and I'm using Active Directory to tell me who's in each level. And then they're going to pick a person. But they don't recognize, the user doesn't recognize them by their email address. They recognize them by their first and last name. So that's what I need to display.
Gotcha. And so this account, you're just pulling from our account table, right? We're not doing
technically
any
I use the group step, but yes, I'm pulling from a specific group. And that all works. It pulls from the specific group. If I set it to first name, I get the correct first names. If I set it to email address, I get the correct email addresses. I just need full name.
Gotcha. I'm wondering if we can, I may have not needed that fetch entity step.
I didn't use one, but that doesn't mean there's no.
Yeah, so I don't think, we're just going to have the option for, hey, I just want to show the field full name. But what you could do is, I guess, do something like this where you populate it from a flow, or do like a active form flow that sets the control value. And then you could do some sort of, so let's see, do this here. Do you remember what that stuff called? It's get users for group.
Yes. Yeah.
Get accounts and groups, get.
It's like get users, and I don't remember. I had to look for it. It wasn't intuitive, but
List users in group. Okay.
yeah, there you go. That's what I wanted.
This is okay. So this I would need to connect to an Active Directory to get this. This is a different step.
Yeah, here, let me bring it up on my side and I can tell you what I used.
It looks like they're. No, that's my flow. Never mind.
I used get accounts for group.
Get accounts.
And I did it by looking through the toolbox. I went to like all services, internal services. I found it that way.
Okay.
And then there's a group section, which I scrolled past the first time. There was a group service. And it was like get accounts for group up at the top.
Gotcha. So this guy. Perfect.
That's what I used.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Took me a minute to find it, but I did. See the suggestion to use display name querying directly from AD. I know I can't develop that way because I don't have an Active Directory set up on my development.
Gotcha.
I might be able to do that when it moves into their production environment, but I can't do that yet.
Gotcha. Because that would give you exactly what you need, and you could even just do either raw LDAP query, or we have a couple steps in here like the get names and whatnot. Let's see. So.
Okay.
I don't know if I have the people's names in these accounts synced.
Okay.
But
I mean, as long as it doesn't error out, I can try it. That's fine.
Okay.
And as for, I think the questions to how do I sync AD groups, I don't. I make local groups and then I redo the setup once I move it to their system.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I feel like either way, we're gonna have all of these accounts stored in the database, and if your Active Directory has their first and last names, I believe that that information should sync as well.
Yes, yeah. And that's how I know how to use it, and I will use my get groups, the get accounts for group, to pull from the remote group that gets created by AD.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna add first and last names to at least my account here. Oh, yeah, that's a problem. Okay.
Perfect. That's exactly what I want. I can do that.
Okay, cool. Do you
Right.
want me to export this flow for you? And then you can
That'd be
also
great.
set up inputs here too. And I think it should expose them on your form. So we could do, like, if you need to have the group ID be different, each time this form goes in, you could just pass the group ID in.
No,
into
I
this
have
flow.
3 different drop downs. That's fine.
Okay, great.
So I'm good on that. Yes, I didn't realize that I could do them. It never occurred to me to do the manipulation in the subflow. That's what.
Yeah, and you can, if you need to do more intricate things as well, you can do we have this step for set control value that's available in our active form flows. And so if you have one active form flow that's doing other stuff as well to, update values or set values, you could, drop the functionality of this segment into one of those.
Okay.
Okay, I just dropped that in the chat as well if you want to download it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and Vitaly brought up a good one too. If you do have access to your Active Directory in the future, we do support the raw LDAP queries. So that particular one might be a little bit more efficient than getting accounts and then looping through them. And then that way, it would also open you up to a lot of other possibilities. Like, if there's some account information on your AD that you need to select or, show for a user that's not something that's synced to our decisions database, that's also an option there too.
Okay, I don't see it in the chat.
Oh, did not go through.
I'm working on it.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Andrew, actually, can you send it, or hold on. I'll shoot you a message.
Either way, I can probably just email it to you really quick as well. Yeah, Mariel, can you check your email? I just sent you the example.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure thing.
Okay.
Sorry, just going back through and reviewing the chat here. Yeah, I'm actually not sure about that, Chris. I think they all should show up in the search, but I know sometimes with some of the internal services steps are not available in search. Did anybody else have any other questions? It looks like we had one that was a pre-submitted question, but it doesn't look like they're here. Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, man. Thanks for letting me hang out. Yeah, so that I mean, I thought that internal services steps were not searchable, but it sure looked like you were getting them by searching them from the canvas rather than searching them from the toolbox. So I don't know if that's a known. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
not entirely sure about that.
Interesting. I mean, I could just play with it. So my question, I asked Heath this a while back, and he gave me some answer. It was in Slack. I don't have my Slack anymore, obviously. And I don't think he understood what I was asking. But the question I have is there a way to turn a flow written in decisions into what is essentially an executable? And what I mean by that is not that it executes independently of the platform, but that it's something you can share with other system owners, but in a way where they can't inspect it or modify it. Like if
I got you.
You following me? I mean, Heath
Yeah,
gave me something about permissions and stuff, but I sort of got the impression what Heath was telling me was a solution for hiding the contents of your flow from internal users.
Yeah, so as far as I know, I think that would be the main option if you export, something in association with a project, and then you have the account or group permissions objects that are generally hidden, but it would be associated with your flows or folder and your folder and everything. I'm not entirely sure what the granular permissions would be on that, but I don't think, as far as I know, there's there's not a current way to, you know,
'Cause if
have
I-
it operate like an executable where, you know, we
Yeah,
have a
because if
filed executable.
if I exported that, well, and it wouldn't necessarily be an executable. That's probably a poor way of stating it, because you might use that flow in another flow. But essentially, like for instance, if I create a custom DLL, no one can inspect my code or modify it, right? If I develop a new feature in C# and turn it into a custom DLL, I can distribute that, right? No one can inspect it or modify it. They get the behavior they get, right, with the inputs and the outputs they get.
It definitely makes sense.
But I don't want to develop in C#, right? I
Yeah.
want to develop in decisions.
Definitely understand that. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think there's currently a way other than permissions, but this is something that I can check on. And
Yeah. Not urgent, but
and if anything, I mean, since I don't know if we have something like that currently, but I could definitely put in a feature request for that, because it seems like it would be something that's useful.
well, it'd be a way for people to add value to the platform and still have a way of capitalizing on that value, right? Like if I want to add value to the platform, why should I have to do it in C#?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
When
and
we have this awesome platform, you know.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where if you have, you know, you have some proprietary, you know, flow functionality that, you know, you've designed, you don't necessarily want to have that be essentially an open source thing.
Yeah. I see Charlie's notes there, and I appreciate that. Let's see if I had another one. That was really that was my that's not why I joined, but since I had you, I figured I'd ask. I just joined in to be a fly on the wall and learn something, and I did. So appreciate it.
Yeah, sure thing.
I actually haven't picked up the tool in a couple of weeks. I've been messing around with other crap.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like some of the things, like, you know, like our jot token implementation is sort of like maybe non-standard and stuff like that. So, like, you know, I mean, you know, someone like me, right, could go implement maybe a more standardized jot token implementation, but there's not really a good way to share that thing, you know, without giving them the source code, in essence.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, did anybody else have any other questions? Yeah, so something, if you guys are who have joined today are interested in doing this, we do have the, you know, sometimes you're going through the week, you hit an issue with something, you might have a question that you want to bring to Lunch and Learn, but, you know, other things come up and you might forget. If you plan on joining, you can you can pre-submit questions. And then that way we can sometimes go out and, you know, find an answer for you on this question and talk about it with you on the Lunch and Learn as well. So with the Python module, yeah, you can use external libraries. The big consideration there is, I guess, how you're hosting. What we would require is you need to have these libraries, you know, installed on the server. So if you're using like Pip Package Manager or something along those lines, you would want to, you know, install those libraries that you want to use for running the scripts. One consideration is for any of our input output with the Python flows, there is we only just do standard in, standard out input, and the input to it is going to be command line arguments. And so if you have very large inputs that are over I believe it's 8,000 bytes, ideally you would want to write your input to a file on the file system, address that file, and then pull the information out of it. And same with the output. If you have a very large output, sometimes it works to create a temporary file where you're outputting that large amount of data, read from that file in decisions, and then dispose of that file if need be. Did that answer your question, or was I off base, Vitaly? Great. And yeah, unfortunately, I don't have it installed right now, but we do have, you can save various files or Python files in a specific folder on the decision side. And, this will allow you to call those specific scripts as steps, which is pretty cool. That way you don't have to always just use the run Python step. Yeah, so if you host on Linux, I can send this to you if you're interested, or I'll just share my screen. I can show you really quickly. So this machine right here is hosted on Kubernetes. So I was doing some testing with the Python portion here. So what I found is that you can, let's see. What I was doing, I was just using the execute command steps to essentially what I'm doing. Since every time you create the container, it's going to be different. You're not going to have any packages that you install. But I have a persistent volume mount associated with this, and I'm assuming it would be the same with your Docker containers. You would have that persistent file storage. So I added an additional volume mount, which I can show you in a second. But essentially what I'm doing is I'm going installing pip, and then pip installing that package. What I've done is I've persisted the installation location of these packages. So that way, once you restart, this flow also removes pip. But once you restart, pip won't be there, but this volume mount is persisted. So, we're going to keep all of our packages. These are going to propagate to the containers when they're created. And then this one is just, this is kind of a little utility flow. And if you'd like, I can send this to you too, with a little more instruction on where you would need to volume mount. But we have, this just, shows you what pip libraries are installed. There's another flow that I made so you can see what's currently installed. That way you don't, waste time trying to do duplicates. And yeah, let me just log into this server really quick and show you, or at least find the path for you. Give me one moment. Okay, so the mount path for this, I guess it would depend on what Python version you're using. So our containers now come with Python 3.9 installed. So yeah, unfortunately with Python 3, you probably know it doesn't come with pip. So that's what, my whole reasoning for the pip install and then remove here. But you need to create an additional volume mount to the path that oh, sorry. Let me. So it's going to be the user local lib Python 3 distribution packages. But yeah, here I can you direct message me your email and I can send you this this set of flows. All right, great. Just give me 1 second. Do you get the? I just sent the email out. Do you get it? Awesome. Yeah, so a lot of the things, some I've found, a lot of things that you might need to do in these containers if you need to act, directly on your file storage, anything like that. Those execute command steps work pretty well for, doing stuff on the internals. Not that I know of. If you, if you were using something like, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think that there's a way. You may be able to figure one out, because in a lot of the situations that what I guess what would be happening is it's something that's interacting with the Docker daemon, or whatever container engine is what would stop that container and either create a new one if it's Kubernetes or something like that, or if it's Docker, it would just start and stop it. So unless you had maybe some API to your host, or maybe the Kubernetes API would open up some opportunity there. But other than that, I'm not entirely sure. Were there any other questions? Yeah. I think that might be that might be the only option, as far as I know, unless there's some, kill command from inside the container. I guess you could take down the operating system, but I don't know if that's ideal. Yeah, were there any other questions? Anything that anybody's working on that they want to show off? All right. Well, if there's no more questions, I hope that everybody here has a great rest of your day. Thanks again for joining.